This is the Data Slice, hosted by the Data Science Alliance. It's where we sit down to talk all things data science, AI, and tech, any way you slice it. I'm Callan Hobbman, and joining us today is Sheena Patel. Super excited to have Sheena on the podcast today. She is a data scientist for a well-known retail company. She is here speaking more just on behalf of herself and her experiences, but that's kind of her background. And Sheena, you were also a DSA intern back in the day at one point. So thanks for coming back and supporting DSA through the podcast. How are you doing? We're excited to have you.
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I haven't really, I've since I worked at DSA, I graduated college and I moved to Ohio. So I'm really glad to be connected with DSA again and glad to be able to be on this podcast and share some of what I've been doing in the past year or two since DSA.
Yeah, and Sheena
Mhm.
did recently move back to the Bay Area, so we're at least on the same coast. It's like you're slowly making
Yep.
your way back to DSA in San Diego.
Yep.
So for people who might not know you, I was thinking, I know you kind of briefly touched on it just now of how you went to Ohio
Mhm.
and things like that. Could you tell
Mhm.
us a little more about what your educational through your career path has been so far that has led you to your current work?
Yeah, of course. Of course, I graduated UC San Diego in class of 2024. I just finished my 1 year working full time at a retail company as a data scientist. And so I graduated with my major as data science, and I think I chose that path. Going into it, I didn't know too much about data science. I didn't have too much coding experience, but the program at UCSD is amazing, and I kind of fell in love with it literally after year one, and so I decided like this is exactly what I want to do. And like I'll go into it a little later, but there is a few reasons why I ended up choosing or why I chose data science to begin with little knowledge about it, since it was kind of I think it is generally a new and a recent field, and it's new offered by UCSD is newly offered by UCSD too. I think they just hit their 5 year anniversary or something. I'm not exactly sure about that, but yeah, the professors were great. And since then, I moved out of state because I think I just wanted a different experience. I lived in California my entire life, and my job was offering like remote flexibility. So I decided to move out of state closer to an office where I can go in and have the kind of have the option to talk to other people during work because as much as remote working is nice, I do like face to face like in person interaction a lot more. I think it's super beneficial, and I don't regret my decision at all. It was great. I got to work with my team, and but then I guess I decided to move back home just to be closer to family, and I did miss California weather a lot, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
stay here for a year, and then we'll see where my career and, like, just the future take where it takes me, but yeah.
Yeah. So what made you want to pursue specifically your position within a retail company? Was there a kind of desire to work for that specific type of company?
Yeah, so, previously, I had, interned like, during college, I interned at Cisco, which was an amazing company, and then, I also obviously interned with DSA too, and, I've always been interested in fashion. I think I was, between all, like, these different internships, I was introduced to data science in different industries, especially with DSA because we work on, like, very different kind of like a diverse number of industries. We apply data science to different things, right? And so I've always been interested in fashion. I love like eh, basically I love shopping in other words, and so and I like data science as well. And so I was like, oh, I would want to do something like kind of go into a field where I'm passionate in kind of both ways, and I can like combine arts and science as well. And so I decided to do that, and I really love the company that I'm working for right now too. I think just the environment is great, and all the employees are. It's a super young company, and it's like on the come up, and so it's really nice seeing working with like not a really small team, but kind of a medium-sized team, not a super large team too. So I know everyone in my team, close with them. I feel open to like reaching out to random members if I ever need help or need advice or want to see what they're doing too. So and I feel like I've done it. I just completed my 1 year, but I'm still learning every single day. So there's a lot to learn, especially a lot to apply in retail with data science as well. And so yeah, it's a learning process, and I highly recommend it if you're also someone who like if whoever's listening is someone interested in fashion, it's super fun. And retail is like a very dynamic field, and so is data science. So it's kind of nice to apply data science into retail. I feel like sometimes it really helps us explain why things are changing, like different trends and what's going on kind of with customers and their preferences, right? Because it's changing every single month depending on season or events going on like festivals and all of that. So, yeah, that's
I know you mentioned going into college and things like that. You didn't even
mhm,
necessarily know you were going to truly pursue data science. So
mhm.
what was that like kind of finding your groove and not only deciding that you were going to commit to data science, but also being able to combine, kind of two different passions between data science, but also fashion?
Yeah. I think I guess so yeah, going into college, I kind of had that career crisis when I was applying to colleges about like what do I want to do? I went through as a kid growing up, I wanted to become a pharmacist, and then I took AP Chem and I changed my mind. And so there's just like a bunch of kind of different things I was considering. I feel like that young, it's really hard to make that big of a decision in your life. But I had really good role models and mentors by my side, and a lot of those people were in my family, and so I went to different people for advice, like older people that were already out there in different industries, and I kind of got their perspective on things and saw what they recommended and all of that. And I've never taken a I think in my entire high school and like obviously before that I never took taken a coding class or anything. Like I wasn't um introduced to coding at all. And then during COVID, right when I was like that class where during my senior year we were into COVID, and so I had a lot of downtime, and so I took a coding class, intro to coding. I think it was in Python at Chapman. It was just like college just offering a virtual coding class, and I was like, okay, my aunt recommended that data science was like up and coming, and so maybe it's something that I want to get into, and that it's not like a definite career path, and you can apply data science to different industries. Like that's the one of the really good things about data science is that it's not like data science is one specific like industry and path. It's like you could apply data science into economics, like you can apply data science into retail, like so many different things, right? So that's one of the things I really liked about it and kind of intrigued me a lot. I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Um, it's like you're choosing something, but it's not like definite, like I'm going this exact path. So I liked how much opportunity there was in that specific industry. So I took that coding class, and I actually really enjoyed it. I've always liked math as a kid growing up. So it was like kind of like data science is a combination of coding, math, stats, like so many different things, right? And I really enjoyed that. There's also like data visualization. I really love playing with graphs, and like I was always like very into arts and things like that. So I was like, whoa, this is kind of really super cool field that I'm interested in. So of course I applied as data science, and then I got in at UCSD, and I kind of was like, let me try it out for a year, and then I can always change into something else if I don't like nothing's definite. And so I tried it out, and initially the learning curve was a little hard, especially because I only had one coding class experience I've only taken. And so but like after that I guess the first class in the very beginning I struggled a little bit, but by the end I got the hang of it. I think that always happens to me. I just have to sit down and take the time to like really study and understand things. And I leaned on one of my cousins. He was like a really big mentor growing up. He's also in the tech industry, and so he would help me and give me advice like throughout my classes and stuff whenever I really needed help. And so I finished that, and by this my second year with like like the professors at UCSD, they're amazing. And so by my second year, I felt like I got a hang of it. And like, yeah, I basically just decided that like this is what I want to do. And then I think I had the retail opportunity. And like throughout the years, obviously, I was in the whole time I was into fashion and stuff like that. And I have a family friend in retail, in tech retail, not data science specifically, and he was talking about how great it was, and so I was like, let me try this, and I ended up loving it. That's basically how I ended up there. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Do you
Hmm.
have maybe advice for people who maybe feel similarly, or maybe they're interested in data science but don't know necessarily what industry to apply their data science skills to? You found fashion, so
Hmm.
it can apply to so many different industries. So do you have advice for people who maybe want to try it out in unique industries?
Yeah, probably, I think you don't yeah, like, as you were saying, you don't have to go in with, like, one specific like, your mindset on one specific field. I think go in open-minded would be my advice. That's what I did, and then test out the waters. I think I specialized in machine learning at UCSD, and so they offer different colleges, I think, offer a bunch of different specializations in data science specifically, like, you can specialize in economics, right? You can specialize in math, for data science. And so just try out different classes and figure out what you like. And then I think what really helped me was having that internship too, as like kind of a middle, like my final, like, I want to do this, like, I don't want to do this. That was kind of my testing the waters with retail and data science. And I ended up really liking it. And so that's what helped me choose that path specifically. But before then, I did have like a few internships where it was a great learning opportunity, and they were all in tech. But it was kind of me crossing out like this is not something I love doing, like, and I see myself doing long term, right? So I can help me pivot and cross out things off my list that this isn't what I like doing. This is what I like doing, and so that's what kind of led me to retail at the end. So I guess to summarize that, my advice is go in open-minded and not don't feel pressured to choose one specific track, because data science is a major and a field that you could always kind of pivot in different directions. And yeah, it's basically it. As long as you build your foundation, it's a very open major or field. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's good
Hmm.
advice. You could argue that that's just a good mindset to have about everything.
Yeah, true.
Open-minded.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, so I know we briefly talked about how you are doing data science in retail. Could you talk a little
Mhm.
more about what that really means? What's the kind of focus or goal with your role that you're doing?
Yeah. So I think the biggest part about data science and retail is that a lot of retail places, especially where I work, the company that I work for, they prioritize obviously um, bringing the best experience to the customer. That's the most important thing always, right? So, and when we're using data science to do that, the way we do that is to kind of create personalized experiences for that customer, right? I think data science has really helped my company from what I've seen in the past year, and different companies out there. I'm pretty sure so many different companies, right? Not only in retail, but just understand their customer, their audience, right? And then appeal to what their interest is in, and kind of direct their marketing and efforts towards that to help the customer have like that seamless experience that all customers want at the end of the day, right? I think there's so much different data that like we provide when we're like online browsing, going in stores, talking to people, all of that. And so that's used like not for any like I don't it's never used in a bad way. It's always used to help our customer at the end of the day. And so I think that's the biggest way that we use data science in retail specifically. I think there's not only that, that's like I guess that's more of audience intelligence, but there's also like different ways where we're trying to forecast or predict like supply chain, right? The best possible methods to deliver like different products, right? And so there's just a lot of avenues even in retail itself. I specifically work with the customer, like so I build models and under try to get a better understanding of what the customer wants, and how we could make our advertisements directly to the customer. And but there's different people in my team that work on like yeah, as I said, supply chain, and then there's people that work on our explorer pages, like our website and things like that, and product recommendations and things. So I think in general it's like really big on personalization and kind of studying the customer and what they want. Yep.
What does data collection look like in that type of role? Is there a certain process your team follows?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not super involved in the collection of the data, like that whole part, because one thing I really like about my company is we have so many different teams, and so like one team isn't doing everything, which could be like very overwhelming.
Mhm.
And this way, like every specific job is like properly done. So I think they're very involved in like I think our legal teams, right, and like compliance and all of that. So I know for a fact that we have different surveys that get customer consent on whether we can use their data, right? And then we have a bunch of different pipelines that we have to go through in order to get our hands on specific data that we want and make sure that it's okay to use that. So we have our safe data sets, and if we ever need like any specific tables or anything like that, we definitely have to go through different teams that hold that data and already have access to that data, and make sure that it's okay to do that. So it's a lot. I know that we obviously hit that transparency part, and I really like that because I think, especially with the amount of data that people are using these days, like it's a lot. It comes with so much responsibility, and I think my company is really good in being responsible with the way we handle our data. Like I don't have access to everything, and if I want to get that, I don't only have to talk to one person. I have to talk to multiple people, fill out forms, and like figure out like if I can get that. And then once I do get that, like I have to like filter the data out, and it's not just a bunch of like names. A lot of it is anonymized too. So, I don't have access to everything, and I'm a data science and scientist in the team, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you kind of touched on it already. What are kind of some of the ethical considerations or possible concerns, that you kind of mitigate with steps like you mentioned, consent and
Mhm.
anonymous data? What are kind of the biggest ethical considerations you think need to be made when doing data science within retail?
Yeah, I think two of the biggest considerations and like points to hit when talking about like responsibility with data is a transparency on how we're using your data, why we're using your data, um like to what extent we're using your data, all of that, right? I think that's super important, and I think we do hit that, and we filter out whatever customers don't want their data to be used. Like I know we have like a function specifically for that. And then another thing is that's really important is accountability, so that all the data scientists and just people in the company, not only my company, but all companies, um, kind of know what extent we can use customer data, right? Yeah, so like I think that's a very important thing that not only the customer knows how we're using the data, I think we should know how exactly what the limits are for us. Like we have access to all this data, right? Like we need to use it in the best way possible, make sure we're aware of the models that we're building and biases that each model can bring in, right? Especially when looking at customers, it's really like there's a lot going on bias models and things like that. And I think my company, for a fact, is really well with kind of acknowledging those biases, um, taking the steps to avoid them, and being fair to every single customer out there.
Yeah, I know you mentioned bias. What could bias look like in kind of retail if teams didn't take that into consideration like yours does?
Uh-huh. I think that like bias could be I guess thought of in different ways, right? I think there's a lot of different avenues that bias can come into play, whether that be not having a large enough like test set for your customers and just taking a small sample of customers, modeling on that, training on that, and then like not testing enough as well. And so when we have a small subset of customers, for example, that only like certain things. Like, I guess I can just give you an example on in retail in general. Like, if I take a sample of customers that only like pants, and then we advertise pants to all customers in the end. Like, this isn't a example that I've worked on or anything. I was just coming
Yeah.
from the top of my head, but this is an example of how bias can like come into play, right? Like different customers like different things. So we want to be able to like appeal to like how everyone is different in their own way and have their different preferences, and you know um not be specific to a certain kind of customer or anything like that. But yeah, yeah, it's basically
Yeah,
it.
no, that is a good point
Mhm,
and interesting to think about of how
mhm,
if everyone and all sorts of interests weren't taken into consideration,
yeah,
advertising as on the consumer side would look very different and probably very unhelpful.
mhm, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely. How much, if any at all, how much of a role does AI play in your work, or is it mostly just data science?
I think, well, in my work specifically, I don't do too much with AI right now. I actually do a lot of like data analytics. It's very open. I've worked on different kinds of projects in the past year, which I really like because I'm kind of understanding what I like and what I don't, again, with that point. But there's like data visualization, there's analytics, there's the modeling aspect of data science. And so we even have our separate data scientist on our team. So they work with our AI like modeling and all of that. And so I have worked with them a few times, obviously, and talked to them, and they're super intelligent. And I think I learn a lot from them. I think AI is something I definitely want to get into in the next year. It's one of my goals. Um, but yeah, so I don't have much knowledge about what exactly they're working on like day to day. And I'm not sure I can really, yeah, so I can't really speak for that, but I know that data science or AI in our company, I think it's like one of the things we're trying to obviously focus on, not only our company, but all companies right now, since AI is like up and coming. But and it's super important to kind of use AI to um, bring in that seamless customer experience that we're looking for. Like now in every website we enter, most websites, there's always like an AI little assistant in the corner where you can like talk to someone, right? And they can help out. So um, I think our company is working on something similar to that as well. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it goes to
Hmm.
show how, like you said, there are so many different teams and different roles. It kind of goes to show
Hmm.
how within data science and AI, how there are so many different avenues and different
Yeah.
types of work going on. It's
Yep.
not
Yeah.
simple and one singular path, which is great.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Definitely. Well, what is it like for you? I know you mentioned you're passionate about fashion and shopping, and I mean, aren't we all to some extent?
Hmm.
But,
Yep.
we all experience it one way or another. So, what is it like to have an impact on consumers, people who are just like you, and to kind of know the exact experience you're giving customers because you yourself also kind of go through that online shopping experience?
Yep. I think it's really exciting. Honestly, it's one of the reasons I did go into like the retail industry in general. I wanted to go that track because I am like one, I guess, plus point is that I've been on like the receiving side. I'm a consumer of my company, a main consumer of my company. So I understand to some extent what kind of we're looking for, or like I can use the things that we're working on, which I think is so super exciting, right? Like I'm not only like the person on the back end, but I'm also like there as like a user as well. So I think that's really exciting. But with that, since there's so many customers and like shoppers, at the specific company, I think it like comes with a lot of responsibility as well. So it's important to kind of acknowledge that, like, yeah,
Yeah.
what you're doing is super exciting, but you have to take precaution and make sure, like, because it's affecting so many people, that what you're doing is, like, you've thought of it thoroughly and, gone through the right steps to do everything. And I think we do have our checks and balances. Like, if I have an idea in my head, like, I can't just, have that on our website the next day, right? It's going to take several months, which is something like, I've learned, and I've always known that, but it's I guess it's a good experience being on like the inside and on that, where you can actually see what's going through, like the processes that like my company and so many other companies um like go through in order to like set out a product or a project out in production, right?
Obviously, your work ties so directly to the public face kind of the company in the
Yeah.
sense that, your work directly affects advertising, customer experience.
Yep.
So, like you said, there's a lot riding on it in a way. Have you
Mhm.
ever had to really kind of defend your analysis, or maybe not necessarily defend, but just really communicate and explain why you and your team were maybe suggesting a certain idea or pushing a certain idea based on the data?
I think not. I've never, yeah, I mean, for every single project I've learned since I started off more on like the data analytics side of things, I've learned kind of how to thoroughly investigate certain questions that people have for us. And if we do have a specific idea, I can bring it up to my team and we could all brainstorm together and figure out, if this is the right thing. And I never really have to defend exactly what, like, my idea specifically. Like, I always one thing I really like about my company is I think I always feel heard, and if I ever have, like, an idea or something, I can my manager is a great, amazing data scientist on our team, and I learn a lot from him. But, yeah, I go to him first about any idea that I have, and he'll work with me and, like, explain, why this might not be possible or if it is possible. And if it is, right, like, he will help me figure out a way to thoroughly like come up with some kind of analysis where that we could, later suggest to higher ups or like someone in charge. And so I think that's one thing I really like about my team. We have like really good communication, and well, regarding like the data analytics point of view, with every idea that we have, any of the data scientists I've noticed, they always have some kind of backing to it, like some kind of proof, evidence, like from our tables, from our data, like, this is why it is because of like not only one thing, but like A, B, and C, right? So we have like whole spreadsheets. I work with Excel a lot. Like I export tables that I come up with in notebooks and put them all into big Excel sheets with so many different tabs. Like often I get like lost in my Excel because there's just a lot of different Excels that I'm opening up here and there. And I didn't really know that I would be working with Excel actually. So I think that was definitely not a learning curve. Excel's pretty it's not super difficult to catch on to, but it's something that I started using a lot more than I've ever like I used before in high school and stuff. So but that just shows how much kind of analysis and thought we put into every idea that we come up with.
Hmm.
And yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting to think about all around. I know
Mhm.
you mentioned that your manager, I think you said, is a great
Mhm.
mentor to you, and I know you mentioned, I
Mhm.
think it was your cousin. Generally speaking, mentorship
Yeah.
sounds like played a big role for you for people who maybe are younger, maybe still in college. Would you recommend, really focusing on finding mentors like that that can kind of give advice and help them learn?
Yeah, that's I guess another piece of advice that I would give to anyone, not only in data science, always like, but just in general, to always find someone, or not even one person, just build those connections. You have like, there's always so many great people around you, and one reason why I'm at the company that I work at is because like I not only have my manager, I have my manager's manager too, that I feel like I have a close relationship with, and like I am, I feel like they provide such a good space to ask questions if I ever have them, and so I feel really comfortable in that environment, and that's always great. Like a lot of people say it's good to be like, uncomfortable, but I think that in the beginning, it's good to be comfortable going into things and build that confidence, and they always, they've been helping me since day one do that, and that's amazing, and my cousin too, like, he's been a big help as well, like, just choosing my career and everything, so it's just something that I'm super grateful for, and I definitely recommend everyone talk to people, like, anyone you have around you, like, even in college, like I had P and the people in my internship, right? Like I had even my peers, right? I would always like talk and get advice on like different things, right? You can't know everything, and I definitely don't know everything, and I'm learning every single day. There's definitely things that like I not regret doing because I learned every step of the way, but I wish I did a little bit better, or I thought about a little bit more. But I think all of that like led me to where I am right now. And like even in the future, there's so many things that I know I'm gonna learn from. I'm not gonna do correct, but I have people by my side that are like supporting me throughout the way and like helping me find like the right track, and like wherever I end up is gonna be something that I really enjoy, because and I can say that with confidence because I've tried so many different routes and had that support to be able to try all those different routes, like specifically in data science. So that's
Mm.
amazing.
You just keep dropping good advice that could just apply to anyone for anything. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's true.
I'm
Yeah.
curious about your experience with, so, you work in retail fashion. Do you feel like your team, is everyone on your team passionate about it the way you have been, or are some people more just with the company because of other reasons, or do you think that's
Mhm.
really important in the retail industry to kind of genuinely have an interest in the retail fashion side?
Yeah, I think obviously there's more people that are interested in like the retail fashion side than others, right? Specifically in my team, but most people are pretty interested. Like during our meetings, we have side discussions about, like certain jokes on what's in, what's on our website,
Mhm.
or not jokes, but just discussion on what's going on in the fashion industry. So I think everyone does have like somewhat of an interest. There are some more than others, obviously. But I think it's very important to have just like any interest in fashion or in whatever field you want to go into. And then if you want to branch out, like going in with data science, but also having that interest in the side field, like economics, for example. Because I think that my interest with fashion, or like passion for fashion, that
Mhm.
rhymes, but that has helped me a lot in ways of I get to see the side of the customer, and it's helped me come up with questions or kind of different views of things that I probably wouldn't be able to understand if I wasn't the end consumer as well. So,
Mm.
and I think a lot of the people on my team too are really able to understand the customer because they are the customer, and so that's extremely helpful. And so they could apply their skills, their technical skills, with also like their knowledge of the industry as well, their personal knowledge of the industry. So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it makes
Mhm.
sense to
Mhm.
understand genuinely the person that you are affecting their
Yeah,
experience. You are
exactly.
one
Yep.
of those people. Yeah, it's a good cycle in a way.
Yeah.
I know you can't get into major details about your true specific work, but has there so far in your career been a certain moment where you just really saw the impact of your work and were maybe just really proud of your ability to use data science to affect the consumer in a positive way?
I think I haven't seen the direct impact of my specific work, but my team's work I see daily, right? Like my we do a lot, like I myself don't have that much of or that big of an impact yet. Like I think I'm still getting there, but with me and like another like few members, like we always see different impacts from just looking on the website. And like when I see something pop up first, I'm like, oh, this is like our like Perso was in charge of this, right? Like um product our product recommendation, like team members are in charge of that. And I think that's super cool to kind of see a reflection of their hard work on our website specifically. And then I've always like even going into my company, I've known because since once again, like I am the customer as well. I've like gotten emails from them and I'm like, how did they know this? Like this is so cool. Like I actually wanted these pairs of like this pair of jeans. Like I always thought they were really good at personalization in general. And so I knew that data science was big in my company. And I hope that I am impacting or helping impact and make other customer experiences better too. And someone's out there is also thinking the same thing, like, oh, whoa, this recommendation, like, this is so cool. And I kind of helped get there, and so that is always really rewarding, like a rewarding feeling. So I think I haven't seen direct impacts yet because I like personally can't. I'm not um, like, I don't know if this is something that I've built specifically when I see it, because there's so many people that are helping pitch in different things into our models. Like I said,
Mhm.
there's a lot of checks and balances, so it's not just one person, like, carrying all that weight. We really work as a team, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a
Mhm.
team effort for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we've all experienced that, what you've
Yeah.
described of we've all, I
Mhm.
feel like, had that moment of something popping up or a recommended email, and it's kind of like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that is correct for me." Is
Yep.
it kind of interesting and maybe fun for you to see that, through from other companies? Not the company that you work for, but do you ever kind of get that experience from a different company and kind of think to yourself, like, "I know I kinda know what work went into this."
Yeah, no, I think that it's really helped me understand other companies. And also, like, when I go out, I'm more observant of certain things in different companies and like, oh, whoa, we could do that too, you know? Like Uniqlo, for example, is a really good um they're a really good company that's kind of pretty ahead of the game when they have their self-service or self-checkout machines now at checkout, so they don't really have a checkout desk anymore, right?
Mm.
They just like the customers can walk in to get whatever product they want, and then they can just scan it and like check it out. And normally there is self-checkout, but this is like you put it in a bin, and that whole bin can um, come up, just like scan the different items and like allow them to check out by themselves. So it's a super cool, I think, like just getting inspired by like all these different companies, not only in retail, like Amazon too also has like a lot of cool like improvements in the ways that they've used like AI, generate like their chat bots, everything like that. I think I'm more aware and like observant of things going on in different retail companies. And so, yeah.
Wow. Well, that just goes to show, how much the tech continues to evolve and grow and become more helpful and powerful. Are there any trends or innovations? It doesn't necessarily have to be within retail, but just maybe from a bigger picture of just data science and AI too. Are there any trends or innovations that you're just really keeping an eye on and especially excited or interested in?
I think, yeah, I think this is something a little more, like there's definitely going to be a lot of discussion on this, and there's probably already a lot of discussion on it because it's something that could be, um, like if we do or people do implement it, they have to be responsible in the way they implement it because it could go wrong in a lot of different ways. But I think like virtual try-ons would be
Mm.
a really cool, a really cool thing that will probably be there in the future, maybe. I don't know. And that involves computer vision, but also some Gen AI to learn kind of different customers, but there's a lot of ways that bias can also be a product of that. And so people have to be careful. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're not seeing that right now. And I think that's also a good sign because it shows that like all the companies are like, they acknowledge that there is bias and there is a lot of kind of precaution that we should take with it. Like, I think it's definitely something talked about a lot, but it's also exciting to think about in the future because, like, instead of having to try something on, virtual try-ons are super cool. You don't have to go into store and, and do all of that. You just upload a picture of yourself, and you're like, but yeah, I think I've always thought about that.
That would be
Mm.
so nice for sure, but like you said, totally see how there are many, ethical considerations that would need to be made
Yeah.
going into this type of tech,
Mhm.
so time
Yeah.
will tell what that really will
Yeah.
look like for us.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's so
Yeah.
interesting, to talk about how data science can apply in ways that people might not think as hard about, especially for all of
Mhm.
us. Everyone shops online at one point or another. So thanks for kind of giving
Mhm.
us the inside scoop on how it kind of works. And
Yeah.
congrats, like you said, you hit officially a year, maybe a little more than that at this point of
Mhm.
being in your career. So we appreciate it, especially
Yeah.
as a former DSA intern. Thanks for
Mhm.
coming on the podcast. Always fun to catch up with you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and share it with a friend. And don't forget, the Data Science Alliance is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we would really appreciate your support. You can do a donation, become a member, volunteer with us, or attend an event. We have lots going on all the time here in San Diego, California. Even if you don't live here, though, you can still get involved. So go to our website, datasciencealliance.org. Otherwise, we'll see you here next time on The Data Slice.